Hi, hello, and welcome to the channel. And today I'm doing something different, which is my best 10 games of 2020. Now, obviously, this is very different to what I usually do because most of my content is mainly SAO content or the stuff I stream on Twitch. But these are just my favorite. Well, I say my favorite. The best. I do enjoy all these games. So the best 10 games I've played this year that came out this year. Granted, I've only played 10 games this year that actually released this year, at least on PS4. So yeah. I hope you enjoy. And in 10th place, we have Spellbreak. Now, Spellbreak was free, at least when it launched. I think it still is. And it's a very interesting look at the Battle Royale genre, really. It's quite a bit different to most traditional Battle Royales, like Fortnite or PUBG or Apex Legends or all of that stuff where you just got guns, or even something like Realm Royale, you got swords and bows, I guess. But a Spellbreak, it's just purely magic. You're all mages essentially. You've got different gauntlets which have different magics. You've got a gauntlet you start with, which is the class essentially you choose to start with. So you can either start with a toxic gauntlet, a fire gauntlet, a ice gauntlet, lightning gauntlet, earth gauntlet, or a wind gauntlet, and that will be kind of your class. Whichever class you start with, you'll get certain bonuses to having that gauntlet equipped. Like for an ice example, if you choose the ice one as you have the ice gauntlet equipped, you'll be able to shoot out a bow and arrow that, when you do so, will give you a ice path underneath to skate along. And a lot of this game, obviously, is a battle royale, so there's traditional things, different levels of loot for you to get. So you got better versions of all of the gauntlets. So you got your common, which is grey, your uncommon, which is green, your rare, which is blue, epic, purple, and legendary, which is the orangey gold. All of these different rarities of the different gauntlets, which I think just really slow down, like reduce the cooldowns of the more powerful abilities of the gauntlets, which is the trigger button. No, not the trigger button, the bumper button, which for the toxic example, which is what you see me running here in the background gameplay, as I'm completely fucking up because I didn't play it for like months before I did this video. but the but for toxic, it's a toxic gas cloud really, and you use that, and that's as you get different better versions of it. That's the one, like that cooldown essentially gets lowered, and I think obviously it might also do more damage and stuff, as they usually do with different rarities. There are also runes in the game, which are things like invisibility. There's flight, which is not just flight you see me doing at the moment, which is more of a hovering, but like proper sort of flight. There's a sort of jump boost thing, so if you run out of the stamina, which you don't use stamina to run because there is no run button in the game, you just kind of walk around at this normal speed, but you can hover and jump with X, which uses up your stamina, and if you run out of that while you're jumping around, you can if you have the sort of jump rune I was on about, you can get yourself an extra boost. Then so there's obviously health potions, there's shield potions, there's these different accessories that you can get. There's some scrolls that you can get to upgrade. And then there's also, like I mentioned before, the gauntlets, but you can have both the default one that you start with, and then you can get other ones to put onto your left hand. So the default one you start with are using your right abilities, so your R1, your R2, and then the left one is your L1 and your L2, which you see me failing to use the cryo one there that I had picked up. So those you can pick up any and switch any out while you're in a session or in a game, and that will be what your offhand is, really. Anyway, that's enough about Spellbreak. I recommend it if you haven't played it already, especially if you like BR. On to number 9, which is Super Hot Mind Control Delete. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this game, or at the very least a lot of you have heard and probably seen gameplay of the original game. I believe it was pretty big when it came out, and this is basically a sort of follow-up sequel, I guess, to the original Super Hot. It's not exactly the same. It's a bit it's a bit different. They've done some changes as you'd expect from a sequel. Like adding in some weapons, like I don't exactly remember there being throwing knives or katanas or stuff, but the main difference here, other than a different story, sort of a sequel story, is... Oh no, there was katana, but only knives and shurikens. But the main difference here are the mods, which, or the hack even, which you see me selecting here. I selected the quick shop there. But basically, as you go through these full boards of levels, every now and then you're able to select which hack you want to use, and that hack can be something like starting with a gun, having more bullets, regenerating your health, which you can see in the top left, starting with katana, you're moving faster. I just died there in the clip. But all sorts of stuff like that, which can really like sort of spice up the gameplay so it's not just the same as the original game. And it's really fun. I highly recommend this game. Even if you've played the original Super Hot, I definitely recommend giving this one a shot. And next on the list we have Marvel's Avengers, which is probably a very controversial pick, because I know a lot of people did not like Marvel's Avengers. And granted, I didn't play it at launch. I don't know how exactly it was at launch, but I played it fairly recently when I got it half price, and it's an enjoyable game if you enjoy the Avengers cast. Even though, you know, it's not the same actors as the MCU, and yes, they do look kind of similar, but that's the whole point. The actors in the MCU looked similar to them in the first place. Like, looked similar to the comic characters in the first place, and the characters in the comics have gotten even more similar to the actors as time has gone by. Stuff's kind of to be expected. But yeah, Marvel's Avengers it's not the best game ever. It's not the best game this year. Obviously, that's why it's an 8. But it's enjoyable nonetheless. If you haven't played it but you enjoy the Avengers cast, I recommend giving it a shot. I wouldn't necessarily pay full price for it. I did get it half price, which might be why I'm a lot more giving with it and a lot more kind of more into it in general. But if you're able to get it for half price, I recommend. I won't say too much about the story, but if you like Marvel in general, you'll probably like the story of this. You'll probably like the story of Marvel's Avengers. But yeah, that's Marvel's Avengers. In seventh place, we have Fall Guys, which I'm sure you've all heard of. A lot of you probably played, and it is a really good game. Granted, I haven't played too much since season 1, back when it came out, but it's still a very fun and manic game. You can kind of see the gameplay in the background now, so you probably can understand what the fuck is happening. You're these jellybean people and jellybean people things, Fall Guys, that's basically what they're called. And you do obstacle courses, you try and win a crown by being the first one there, the first one to complete the course. I don't know what much else to say, to be honest. You see what you get right here. You got different courses, you got different things, like different courses you go through. It's a very fun but chaotic game to play. So it's online only, but if you're able to get it, I'd recommend. I did get it for free because of PlayStation Plus, but it's a good game. I recommend it. In 6th place, yes, this is actually 6th now. I'm not going mad, although I did a minute ago. In 6th place is Star Wars Squadrons, which is not your traditional full-priced £60 game, even though it's from a big AAA studio. This is only at £40, so not quite half price, but you know, a lower price, because it's a lot more of a simulator, flight sim game compared to a more arcadey flight game like you have in Battlefront 2 or even the original, or even Battlefront 1, or really any Star Wars game really. You got different things to monitor. You got your shields, you got your speed, you got your weapons, all these different things you have to switch power over to. The aiming system isn't as easy really as it was in the past ones. You kind of have to lead your shots yourself, essentially, or just get close enough. But it's a good game. It's fun. I haven't played too much of it, but I do recommend it if you're interested in the story part of it. It's set after Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, and you play as the New Republic and the Empire. You've got two characters, one on each side, and it's a good game. I'd recommend giving it a shot, especially if you enjoy Star Wars. Alright, anyway, now we are on to the top 5 games of this year. And in 5th place is Genshin Impact. Now, this is a game that I played the beta of back, well, I played the final closed beta of back in July, and then obviously the full game launched in September, and I have really enjoyed my time with it. I will preface this now, it is a gacha game, it's free to play, but it is a gacha game, so do expect a gacha system, but the gacha system isn't terrible. Every 10 rolls, which is what I'd kind of recommend doing over a 1 pull every time. Every 10 rolls, you're guaranteed a 4-star character. Every 90 rolls, you are guaranteed a well, not 4-star character, but a 4-star. Whether that's character or weapon, you don't know until you get it. Every 90 rolls on, not even just on a banner, I think it's just every 90 rolls. Well, it kind of is 90 rolls on a banner, but whether that's on the permanent banner or a switching out banner, on a switching out banner it carries over on the permanent one. Obviously that's a permanent banner, so you never have to worry about that, but with every 90 rolls you're guaranteed a 5-star. Again, whether that's a character or weapon, there's no guarantee there, but you're guaranteed a 5-star every 90 rolls as well. And yeah, you don't have to just gacha everything for it. You can get a lot of characters just by playing through the main story. As you play through the main story, obviously you start with the Traveler, and then you get Amber from the main story. You get Kaya, you get Lisa, so you do get a full team quite quickly on. But obviously for the better characters, if you want the better characters, you're going to have to gacha for them, like the team that you're seeing me play with in the background. All of these, well, 3 of these were from the gacha. Fischl, I think I got from the gacha, but there was a way that you could just earn her normally. She's a 4-star. They do, okay, quite often put up essentially character quests that you can do things to earn these characters. But yeah, so as you're probably seeing in the gameplay, I'm switching between characters a lot of the time. That is a thing you're able to do a lot in this game. It's probably the more recommended way to play, because the elements in this game react with one another. So you have wind, which is called Anemo in this game, water, which is called Hydro, fire, which is called Hydro, electric, which is Electro, ice, which is Cryo. I don't think I mentioned that, I'm not going mad. Earth, which is Geo, and then there's also a life one, which I don't know what else that's called, but it's not in the game yet. It's not fully. There might be another that I'm just completely forgetting as my mind goes blank, but I'm pretty sure it's just those. I'm pretty sure it's just 7 of them. Let's say 7, I'll just say 8 of them. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just those. But you interact with the elements in different ways. So if you combine like water and cryo, if you use water first, you make an enemy wet, and then you use cryo and you can freeze them, or you can use water to make them wet and then use electro to electrocute them basically, or you can combine electro with pyro to create explosions. All sorts of stuff like that. It's a very, very fun and interesting system. This game does get compared a lot to Breath of the Wild because of the climbing mechanics and the gliding, but honestly they're not that similar. It's a proper sort of RPG, JRPG. You got a lot of loot to collect, you got different gear you want to be getting and upgrading, and all of that shit. You got different builds you want to run. It's not so much Breath of the Wild than anything else. It's a lot more traditional RPG, JRPG, kind of that sort of action RPG even. That's what I mean. But it's more RPG than Breath of the Wild or anything like that. Anyway, that's enough of Genshin. It's free to play. It's on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Not Xbox One. Definitely. It would be nice if it was on Xbox, but it's on PC, PlayStation, and mobile. Somehow this one runs on mobile. God knows how. But I definitely recommend it. It's a fun game. It's a good game. The gacha system is there. Be mindful of that. But what's the harm in giving the game a shot? See how you enjoy it. Anyway, on to 4th place. And in 4th place we have Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, Miles Morales, it's obviously a semi-sequel to the 2018 Marvel Spider-Man for PS4. It's not a full-on sequel. It's not full priced either because of that. It's like 50, I think I paid for it. But it's a fun game. It follows on from the story of Marvel Spider-Man 2018. I said 2016 earlier. It follows on the story of Marvel Spider-Man 2018, set about a year or so after, following Miles this time, obviously, as he got bitten in the original game and got the big, like, kind of started learning how to be Spider-Man in the DLCs. So now we have a game following him. Pardon me. The story of the game is not as good as the original, I will say that, but the combat is still just as fun. The basic combos and fluidity of combat is the same, more or less. Well, not the same, but yeah, it's similar. You've got Venom powers this time though, which is probably one of the biggest differences. Whereas is like how you had the finisher bars that you could use to either finish an enemy or heal in this in the last game. With this one, you've got the Venom blast powers, essentially electricity from Miles' fist, which can be used in a very similar way. In a similar way. Yes, definitely in a similar way. But they are earned from the same way. So you get the Venom Blast as you do just normal attacks. You get Venom Blast to then use. The Venom Blast can also be used to heal you. You also do have invisibility camouflage in this game, so you can go into stealth. You still have some different webs, but not as many, or gadgets in this game, but not as many. You don't have proper suit gadgets or anything, you know, like you had your L1, your L3, R3 in the last game. You don't have that in this game, but you don't really need it with the Venom powers and everything else. Finishers in this game are still here, but instead this time it's every 15 hit combo you're able to perform a finisher, and you can hold up to 3 finishers as you upgrade stuff, and you can have it so that it's you do 15 for the first one, and then it's every 10 after that, as long as you have that first finisher available. So if you get a finisher once you've done 15 hit combo, and then you get up to 25, you get a second one, and then if you use that second one, but you like that second charge, but you don't use the first one, it will then be when you get to 30 again, so on and so forth, like that. But yeah, that is Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. And on to the top 3 games now. My top 3 games of the year. In 3rd place, we have Sword Art Online, Alicization, Lycoris. Now, this is, as you've probably seen from my channel, a game I've played quite a bit of. I'll be honest. And it's just due to the gameplay, it being an SEO game. I like the SEO games in general, they're fun to play. But the gameplay of this one is especially good. Especially compared to the shitstorm that was Fatal Bullet. In this, the party in this works a bit differently. You're able to actually switch to characters at will. So as long as you've got them in your party, and then you can select them, you can switch them during combat. Which you can imagine what you could do with that. whether that's buffing or whatnot. The story of this is the first chapter follows the Alicization story from canon. The second chapter onwards is obviously its own thing because it's set in the gameverse. But yeah, the game's fun. I recommend you give it a shot if you like SAO. There is a cube system in the game, but honestly I forget that it's there most of the time because the cube loot box, it's cosmetic only. You can earn most of the stuff quite easily, especially now that once you log in for a couple of days in a row, you're getting 5 cube tickets per day. You get 2 for doing a daily, so you can open 7 cubes a day essentially. So yeah, that is Alicization Lycoris. Now on to the top 2. And in second place of overall my top 10 games of 2020 is Persona 5 Royal. Now, this game is a great improvement on the original game. The original game is great as is. Don't get what I'm saying confused there. It's a great game as is, but there are a couple of problems I had with the combat. I'm not a massive fan of turn-based games in general, but this it's still obviously turn-based. I'm still probably more excited for Strikers than this because of the combat of this game it's still turn-based. I'm not a massive turn-based fan, but it's probably one of the best turn-based systems out there. I'm gonna be honest. Now, if you've played the original P5, you will know most of this game already. There are a couple things added, like a third semester, there's some new characters, there's some new social links, and just in general it's a more refined version really of the original Persona 5. If you haven't played the original P5 yet, and you're wondering, should I play that first and then get this? I'd recommend just getting Royal. Everything in the original P5 is in this game. You can just play the original P5 essentially in this game, just with better mechanics. So there's no reason to get the original P5 over this game, even if the original P5 is cheaper. Still save for Royal, wait for Royal to go on sale. The original P5 is still good. If you think you're gonna play, if you think you'll still play P5R afterwards, then sure, get the original P5 first. Both are brilliant games, but Royal is definitely the better of the two, and is the ultimate version really of Persona 5. As with most Persona games, with Persona 4 Golden is kind of the full version of that. So it's definitely the version to go for. And everything about this game is great. The visuals look great. The style in general is great. The music is fucking amazing. Combat is one of the best turn-based combat systems out there I've seen, or at least that I've played. And story it's weird, as you'd expect from Persona 5 if you've played the original, or even just from Persona. A lot of the Persona stories seem weird. It's weird, but it's good. I'd recommend. If you haven't played it already, definitely recommend getting it. I won't go too much into anything else of it, especially not any story. But just so you know, you're gonna be in for the long haul. It's a long game. You got a good 100 hours or so of like the main story, which is all there is. There's the main story. You got extra stuff to do, but once you finish the main story, all you can do is go into New Game Plus or some challenges that you're not able to free roam around like you are in a lot of modern games. But yeah, that is Persona 5 Royal. I highly recommend giving it a shot if you haven't already. And now we are on to number 1, my favourite game from this year. And that game is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, I never played the original Final Fantasy VII. I am obviously not old. I don't even know when it came out, but I wouldn't have been old enough to play it when it came out. That's for sure. I think it came out possibly before I was born. I don't remember when the original Final Fantasy VII came out. I think it was in the 90s. I might be wrong there. I think it was PS1. I'm pretty sure PS2 was out by the time I was born. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1, because there are more parts coming. Like I said, I never played the original, and I went into this basically knowing nothing. at all. I played the demo of this game, and the demo was good, and I wanted to get the full game. When I played the full game, oh my god, I was not expecting to love this game so much. It just oozes with charm. The world building, obviously it's got advantage over a lot of other games. It's a pre-established story that a lot of people already love, so they already knew they had a really good story, but then they're able to build upon it. And the things they build upon are so good. The fact of everyone you're able to meet down, like how they're able to essentially realize this was like the first third or something of the game, wasn't it? The first couple hours. They've managed to stretch out into like a 30-hour campaign, which it's not just like useless quest padding. It's giving you characters to interact with, giving just all sorts of stuff. It's such a great game. I don't know how else to say it. It looks beautiful. The gameplay is great. Obviously, I'm a lot more of an action RPG guy than I am a turn-based RPG, so of course I prefer this gameplay than anything else. But yeah, everything about this game is great. I love it. The story is good. Obviously, it's based off of the original. Some of the moments hit a lot harder than obviously I never played the original, but I've seen things from the original since playing this game, and because of how you're able to meet all these characters, you're able to get more attached to them. Like, even just like the first load of people that you meet, which in the original game, obviously you weren't with them for a lot of the time, people like Jesse. Whereas now, they're a full character. Jesse, Briggs, Wedge, not Biggs. No, it is Briggs. It's Biggs, isn't it? Briggs. Yeah, all of them, just those few, and then even all the other characters you can do quests for in Sector 7 and Sector 9 give you a lot more really to those characters. You feel a lot more for them. I really don't know how to explain how much I like this game and everything good about it. Just play it. It's on sale at the moment. In fact, on the PlayStation Store, it's like 50% off, so it's like 30 quid. Play it. Just play it. It's amazing. Like, it's genuinely one of my favourite games of this entire generation. Granted, I've mainly been playing games a lot this generation as opposed to past ones. I didn't ever play as many games in the whole generations, but it's one of my favourite games. I cannot wait for part 2 to come out, and the probably eventual part 3, unless part 2 goes the entire rest that the original game did, but I imagine that would be a lot to fucking do. But yeah, no, the game is great. It looks good, it controls well. There are a couple issues here and there, but yeah, easy to look over. Or just how good the game looks, how good it feels, how good the story is. It's just how enjoyable it is. I need to stop gushing about the game, because if I don't, I'm just going to keep doing it all day, and I need to finish off this video. But that was my top 10 games of 2020, top 10 games of the year. I hope you all enjoyed this. Already a late Christmas present. It's just final video for the year, you know, New Year's Eve. This might actually go out on New Year's Day for all I know. I don't know how long it will take to upload. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. If you plan on getting any game from this list this year, quite a lot of them are on, you know, some of them are free. Quite a few of them are on sale right now on the PlayStation Store January sales. Offers are only like some of them end January 8th, like this, for example, Final Fantasy VII, which is still in the background. The offer for that ends January 8th, so if you want to get them, any of these games, I recommend doing so. I don't think you'll regret it, especially these the last two. I highly recommend. But I'm gonna end this now before I keep blabbing on about how much I love Final Fantasy VII Remake, because I don't think anyone wants to hear me to keep talking on about that for the whole time, because this video has already gone over 30 minutes. So, thank you all very much for watching, and I shall see you in the new year. Good day.